Hello. I'm so glad you've joined me on this special day. You may be thinking, what is special about today? It's just Wednesday. But it's Wednesday of Holy Week. You know, our Bible doesn't say what the Lord did on the Wednesday of Passion Week. Scholars have speculated that after 2 exhausting days in Jerusalem, Jesus and his disciples probably spent the day just resting in Bethany in anticipation of the Passover and the meal that they would be having together the next evening. Just a short time before this, Jesus had revealed to the disciples and the world that he had power over death by raising Lazarus from the grave. After seeing this incredible miracle, many people in Bethany believed that Jesus was the Son of God, and they put their faith in him. Also in Bethany, just a few nights earlier, Lazarus' sister Mary had lovingly anointed the feet of Jesus with expensive perfume. And there's one other thing we know about Wednesday that week. We know that Judas had decided to and was in the process of betraying Jesus. We'll probably never know exactly how he arrived at his decision. Was it just for 30 pieces of silver? And is it true that Judas changed his mind and tried to return the coins? There's so much we don't know. But I think it's fair to assume that Judas did not understand who or what Jesus was. And that was also true of all the disciples, the first disciples, and to a large extent, all of us disciples, even to this day. Do we fully grasp the significance of Jesus? Why he came to us as a human? What he wants for us and what he gave for us? Well, there's one man who was born a son of a Lutheran pastor and later became a Lutheran pastor himself, then a professor and an award-winning author. He has fans numbering in the millions, and his name is Walter Rangren Jr. I'll bet many of you have heard of him. He's widely recognized as one of today's most gifted writers on issues of faith and spirituality. Beginning with the renowned Book of the Dun Cow, Wangren's writing career has encompassed almost every genre: fiction, essay, spirituality, children's stories, and biblical exposition. Wangren has won the National Book Award, the New York Times Best Children's Book of the Year Award, and several Gold Medallion Awards, including Best Fiction Awards for both The Book of God and Paul, a novel. In his quest to know Christ more fully and to help express that understanding to others, he has written so many works. One of those is a story that has profoundly affected readers over the years, and the title is The Ragman Story, and I'm pleased to read it for you now. I saw a strange sight. I stumbled upon a story most strange, like nothing my life, my street sense, my sly tongue had ever prepared me for. Hush, child, hush now, and I will tell it to you. Even before the dawn one Friday morning, I noticed a young man, handsome and strong, walking the alleys of our city. He was pulling an old cart filled with clothes, both bright and new, and he was calling in a clear tenor voice, "Rags, rags." Ah, the air was foul, and the first light filthy, to be crossed by such sweet music. Rags, new rags for old. I take your tired rags. Rags. Now, this is a wonder, I thought to myself, for the man stood 6'4" tall, and his arms were like tree limbs, hard and muscular, and his eyes flashed intelligence. Could he find no better job than this, to be a ragman in the inner city? I followed him. My curiosity drove me, and I wasn't disappointed. Soon the ragman saw a woman sitting on her back porch, She was sobbing into a handkerchief, sighing and shredding 1,000 tears. Her knees and elbows made a sad X. Her shoulders shook. Her heart was breaking. The ragman stopped his cart. Quietly, he walked to the woman, stepping around tin cans, dead toys, and Pampers. "Give me your rag," he said so gently, "and I'll give you another." He slipped the handkerchief from her eyes. She looked up, and he laid across her palm a linen cloth so clean and new that it shined. She blinked from the gift to the giver. Then, as he began to pull his cart again, the ragman did a strange thing. He put her stained handkerchief to his own face, and then he began to weep, to sob as grievously as she had done, his shoulders shaking. Yet she was left without a tear. "This is a wonder," I breathed to myself, and I followed the sobbing ragman like a child who cannot turn away from a mystery. Rags, rags, new rags for old. In a little while, when the sky showed gray behind the rooftops, and I could see the shredded curtains hanging out black windows, the ragman came upon a girl whose head was wrapped in a bandage and whose eyes were empty. Blood soaked her bandage. A single line of blood ran down her cheek. Now the tall ragman looked upon this child with pity, and he drew a lovely yellow bonnet from his cart. "Give me your rag," he said, tracing his own line on her cheek, "and I'll give you mine." The child could only gaze at him while he loosened the bandage, removed it, and tied it on his own head. The bonnet he set on hers, and I gasped at what I saw, for with the bandage went the wound. Against his brow it ran a darker, more substantial blood, his own. "Rags, rags, I take old rags," cried the sobbing, bleeding, strong, intelligent ragman. The sun hurt both the sky and my eyes. The ragman seemed more and more to hurry. "Are you going to work?" he asked a man who leaned against a telephone pole. The man shook his head. The ragman pressed him. "Do you have a job?" "Are you crazy?" sneered the other. He pulled away from the pole, revealing the right sleeve of his jacket, flat, the cuff stuffed into the pocket. He had no arm. "So," said the ragman, "give me your jacket, and I'll give you mine." Such quiet authority in his voice. The one-armed man took off his jacket. So did the ragman, and I trembled at what I saw. For the ragman's arm stayed in its sleeve, and when the other put it on, he had two good arms, thick as tree limbs. But the ragman had only one. "Go to work," he said. After that he found a drunk, lying unconscious beneath an army blanket. An old man, hunched, wizened, and sick. He took that blanket and wrapped it round himself. But for the drunk, he left new clothes. And now I had to run to keep up with the ragman, though he was weeping uncontrollably and bleeding freely at the forehead, pulling his cart with one arm, stumbling for drunkenness, falling again and again, exhausted, old, and sick. Yet he went with terrible speed. On spider's legs he skittered through the alleys of the city, this mile and the next, until he came to its limits. And then he rushed beyond. I wept to see the change in this man. I hurt to see his sorrow. And yet I needed to see where he was going in such haste, perhaps to know what drove him so. The little old ragman, he came to a landfill. He came to the garbage pits. And then I wanted to help him in what he did. But I hung back, hiding. He climbed a hill. With tormented labor, he cleared a little space on that hill. Then he sighed. He lay down. He pillowed his head on a handkerchief and a jacket. He covered his bones with an old army blanket, and he died. Oh, how I cried to witness that death. I slumped in a junked car and wailed and mourned as one who has no hope. Because, you see, I had come to love that ragman. Every other face had faded in the wonder of this man, and I cherished him, but he died. I sobbed myself to sleep. I didn't know. How could I know that I slept through Friday night and Saturday, and its night too? But then on Sunday morning, I was awakened by a violence. Light, pure, hard, demanding light, slammed against my sour face, and I blinked, and I looked, and I saw the last and the first wonder of all. There was the ragman, folding the blanket most carefully, a scar on his forehead, but alive, and besides that, healthy. There was no sign of sorrow or of age, and all the rags that he had gathered, they shined with cleanliness. Well, then I lowered my head, and trembling for all that I had seen, I myself walked up to the ragman. I told him my name with shame, for I was a sorry figure next to him. Then I took off all my clothes in that place, and I said to him with dear yearning in my voice, "Dress me." He dressed me. My Lord, he put new rags on me, and I am a wonder beside him. The ragman, the ragman, the Christ. Whatever is broken in our lives, whatever is sad, whatever is mean-spirited, whatever is sinful, it all stains the beautiful lives God the Father gave us. And I will share with you this evening that if we give him our dirty rags, he will make them as white as snow. Good night, and God bless you.